So this story would be, I feel like, really interesting. It's heavily inspired by The Thing. The entire point of it is to maximize the amount of tension on screen. But essentially, in The Thing, the times that are most tense are when the characters are all bunched together. Because one of them, presumably, is the thing, right? So for this, I obviously didn't want to just rip it wholesale. But the idea is that there is a deep sea expedition. You have a ship and they have a submarine attached, and they essentially go down to pick up a deep sea creature and shove it into a metal box and bring it up to the surface to study. Now, upon resurfacing their ship, they secure the box, but then a storm breaks out until nightfall. And afterwards, the engine is bust, the comms are down, and the box has been melted through, and there's some slime residue. Clearly, the creature escaped, is the point about that. Essentially, the corporation managing this expedition just randomly assigned a group of not necessarily qualified people to man this mission, to retrieve the creature. And basically, just something to know, like in the wider world, it wouldn't necessarily be in the movie. It might be mentioned offhandedly, but the corporation, the company, runs pretty much everything in the world. So rank matters a lot more than one would think. Like in modern day, promotions and stuff are, they're nice, but in this world, a promotion would change your class. You would go from low class to middle class if you get a promotion. So these are like big deals. And if you get fired, you're on the streets and you starve to death. Is pretty much the stakes here. So each person has their own sort of goal. Obviously, they're working for the company. They want to complete the mission to some extent. So, for example, the assigned captain, wants to keep the status quo and minimize damage to keep their position as captain, because it's pretty alright, all things considered. And this includes getting another sample of the creature. Essentially, the captain wants to get another creature, either send someone down to get the creature and bring it up, or to find the one that escaped. And they want to keep it in order to keep their job when they eventually come back to shore. The vice captain, so second in command, wants to replace the captain. They want to oust them and become the new captain. So their main goal is to return to the shore without the creature. So if they fail the mission, then presumably the captain gets fired, and the vice captain is hoping that instead of the entire crew getting dismantled, they hope that the blame will all fall on the captain, who presumably would have given the orders to head back. So the vice captain wants to replace the captain by making them not come back with the creature. The second mate, so this would be third in command, wants to have at least one person die, whether it be by the storm, maybe the creature, by some way. They want someone to die because it would be severe enough that they think it would cause the captain and vice captain to be ousted and fired, so that they can take their place and become the new captain, or at least new vice captain. Alternatively, if the captain were to die while they're commanding, then that would leave room for the third mate to promote up to at least vice captain, if not the vice captain also getting firing and leaving way for the second mate to get all the way up there. Third mate in this movie would be our protagonist, who is approached by everyone. The captain claims to want loyalty and wants the third mate to help them out as loyalty to the captain and as loyalty to the company in order to bring back the sample that the company wants. The vice captain claims that they want people to live and they want to get home as fast as possible in order to make sure everyone survives. And I'll talk about why something bad is going to happen a little bit later. And the second mate, again, this third in command, claims to want promotions, is very upfront about their motivations, and asks the third mate to try and make him and the third mate become captain and vice captain. The third mate, our protagonist, is likely known for their loyalty or their dirtiness, and the second mate really wants to have them on their side. And in general, that's not necessarily true. The second mate just needs more people to help them with their goal. As long as anyone dies, they don't care if the third mate dies, they just care as long as someone dies, they assume that they'll be able to get their position. Now, there is, in addition to these 4 crew members, there is 1 field researcher who wants to study the creature so they won't get fired when they return to land. Now, they only need to study it. they don't care whether or not the creature actually comes back with them or not. So as long as they get to study it for at least like an hour before they leave, they're good. And they don't really care about anything else. And the main reason why the field researcher is even on the ship is it's as punishment from the company because they've been not working so well, and this is sort of their last chance. And the last member of our crew, so it's only 6 people on this ship, is the diver slash engineer who wants to fix the ship and get out and save as many lives as possible. No ulterior motive, just wants to save people. They know that a second more severe storm is coming and was unable to predict the first storm that they encountered because they were sick. They were sent out to boat out over to the Mariana Trench, forced to dive while they were sick. This should display what the company's sort of morals are. It's not good. This was a mission that they were sent on that the company is thinking, hey, if they come back, great. If they don't come back, expected. So the diver slash engineer wants to fix the ship and get out because they know a second storm is coming, and even though they're sick, they're still able to predict the storm is coming because of how severe it will be. In all likelihood, none of them will survive when the second storm comes. Essentially, these 6 people are all, or at least the third mate doesn't. Our protagonist doesn't really. They have to choose. But the other characters all have extremely conflicting motivations. And essentially, there's a ton of stress and tension that would be coming out of this. Now, the creature itself, the thing that escaped, I don't know if it should be like a monster, sort of like a horror movie. I don't think it actually would add to the movie. It might even make it worse if it were to be a thing. I think it just escapes, and that's just a plot point. So either it wants to feast, which I'm a little less in favor of. I think just the politicking among the 6 crew members is tense enough, but essentially the creature would just be a non-factor and it just got lost. But if we wanted to, we could make it more like a horror movie, sort of more like The Thing, where eventually it sort of just comes down and pounces on people every now and again. But yeah, that's sort of the idea behind this one. Bunch of people out at sea, and the captain wants to get a creature and come back. The vice captain wants to leave. The second mate wants at least one person to die. The third mate, our protagonist, is sort of strung between all the other characters. The field researcher just wants to research for an hour the creature, and then afterwards they don't care. They just want to go back once they meet that goal. It doesn't matter if the creature is still on board or off board. They just want to head back the moment they can get their studying in. And the diver slash engineer wants to leave as soon as possible. They can tell a second storm is coming and it will kill them all. Now, I don't know how the movie would end. I don't know if the storm would get them. I don't know if maybe if the creature becomes a factor and it eats them. I don't know. I'm not exactly sure how the movie would end, but it's just sort of the idea of this really tense situation between all these characters who are really at each other's throat really makes a invigorating story, in my opinion. So that's sort of the idea behind this. I think there could be a few good scenes like the diver slash engineer explaining to the captain, we need to get out of here. It doesn't matter if we get the creature. We will die if we stay here. And then the captain saying, no, we are getting that creature. You better fix your submarine and you better dive back down and pick up a new sample of the creature, or else we're not leaving this place. And as the captain, they have the authority to do that. The implication is that they would get fired if they refuse, and the captain gets to drive the ship and no one else has the authority. Just like the captain can only use their key card to drive the ship or whatever. Just in some way, the captain has some amount of authority that other people can't very easily override that. Anyways, that's that story. It's a real jumble, I know. There isn't really much that I planned for it, but I feel like the base concept could be really cool. Anyways, that's all. There's this really cool Kickstarter you could take a look at. It's called Eternal. The link's in the description. You should check it out. And as usual, thanks for watching.